broadly speaking, you could define algebra as any math problem where there's something we don't know, which you may recognize as every math problem. Because if you knew everything, it's not a math problem, it's a math statement. Which means, unbeknownst to you, your teachers have actually had you doing algebra for years. Like way back in 3rd grade when they were teaching you subtraction, they said, subtraction is the opposite of addition. So 7 minus 2 is the number that, when you add it to 2, gives you 7. And they would write that as 7 minus 2 equals blank, implies that blank plus 2 equals 7. And then you have to figure out what goes in the blank, and the answer is clearly 5. In algebra, we write that as x plus 2 equals 7, and you have to figure out what number, when substituted for x, makes the equation true. And the answer is clearly still 5. Congratulations, you have just done your first algebra problem. X just means, I know there's a number here, I just don't happen to know exactly which number it is at this particular moment in time. It lets you talk about it even though you don't know what it is. It's like in crime shows where they call whoever it was that committed this particular crime the perpetrator. Top of the hour, you don't know who the perp is, but calling them the perp allows you to talk about them and start building a file on them. As you accumulate information, possible identities of the perp narrow down until, at 7:55, there's only one person who meets all of the criteria and we have a conviction. So, what good does it do to call it X? Just like it's easier to talk about the perp than whoever it was that committed the crime at this location, at this time, at this date, X is easier to work with. You can put it into equations, where previously you could only do math with numbers that you already know. So let's go back to my stats class where I bombed the first test. Let's start with what we do know. I read the syllabus, so I know the class is set up so that through the course of the semester I will have 1,000 points possible. I know that so far we have actually only had the opportunity to collect 350 of those points. I know that of those 350 points, I currently have 224. I know that 224 divided by 350 is 64%. So I know that I currently have a D in the class. I don't know what grade I'm going to get for the rest of the class. We'll call it X. X here is a percentage, so if I get a B for the rest of the class, then that would be a 80%. If I get an A for the rest of the class, that would be a 90%, and so on. Don't know what X is, but knowing that it's the percentage of points I'm going to get in the rest of the class, I know that 650 times X will give me the actual number of points I will get for the rest of the class. I know that the number of points I got in the first half of the class, plus the number of points I got in the second half of the class, will be the total number of points I got through the entire class. And I know that my final grade will be determined by the total number of points I get through the course of the semester divided by 1,000. Now, I still don't know my final grade or X, but I'm really hoping that my final grade will be higher than 80%, because then tuition reimbursement kicks in and I don't lose $1,500. So let's look at the hypothetical situation where my final grade is greater than 80%. This is, for theoretical reasons we'll get into later, a solvable equation. We just multiply both sides by 1,000, subtract 224, divide by 650, and get that X is equal to 0.88615. So if I can get a high B on every assignment from here on out, I will squeak by and get a B in the class. Now I probably can't calibrate that closely, so I need to aim for an A. Previously, I had been pulling medium to low Bs, so probably with some extra study time and some office hours with the professor, I can pull that up to a high B. So there's definitely a chance. I don't have to loathe myself for blowing the entire class. I just have to beat myself up for screwing up the test that badly. Don't beat yourself up for blowing tests. It's not useful. It doesn't help you pass the rest of the class. It's not healthy. It's really a terrible idea all around. That said, I feel you. It sucks. It's totally okay to be angry and frustrated. Just remember that your academic performance does not define your worth as a person. So that's algebra. You define what you need to know. You define what you already know. You see if there's some way to put them together. As information accumulates, possible identities of the perp narrow down until by 7:55, there's only one possible person who meets all of the criteria, and we have a conviction. Or something like that. Thumbs up if you like crime dramas. Subscribe if you want to learn more math that'll help you in the real world.